Pacific Rim. It's Pacific Rim.
Okay, so let's all cluster in. Let's all make sure that we can be heard. So we're all going to focus our attention not on the melodious sounds of my voice or my face, but on the tiny microphone that we're all recording around. Welcome back to Hurd Ya Saw. It has been a giant-sized episode today with lots of wild explosions and robots and monsters. It's Pacific Rim Uprising, and so I'm gonna lead in with, as always. Today I'm joined by EJ, Sean, and Racy.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, I was just worried, none of you had spoken. I was like, are you all reduced to shocked silence by what we just witnessed? We're going to begin, as usual, with our one-line hot takes. Racy.
My favorite part is where they destroyed Sydney. I'm all for it.
Sure.
Aren't you from?
Not from Sydney, no.
Yeah, fuck Sydney.
No.
Oh, okay.
Enemy of the show,
is Sydney. The New
Sydney.
York of Australia, and everyone actually hates it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does
yeah.
everyone hate New York?
I hate New York. Fuck New York.
Oh. Enemy of the show, New York. All right, cool. We're about now alienating entire cities. EJ, your one-line hot take for Pacific Rim Uprising.
I did not hate this.
Hey!
Yeah.
I could not believe it. This film was F-rated.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was written by like 4 people, but two of them were women.
Nice.
And also there were like female characters. Oh, get into it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
we'll get into that.
Okay,
We'll get into that.
continue.
Sean.
So the film gives a new meaning to the term mindfuck.
Oh, that's good. Well done.
Yeah.
And my one-line hot take, I think I have to say is, I think out of everybody here, and potentially in the world, I wanted this to be good. But I knew it wasn't going to be good, so I went in expecting to hate it, and much like EJ, I didn't hate it.
Hey.
Didn't much love it either.
No, but it's not Jumanji.
Oh god, is it? Oh no, I like this a lot more than Jumanji.
Yeah.
And many other films that we've seen. So, recounting of the premise, I feel like we should try and avoid the big twist, if possible, at least
Which
to
one?
start with.
Which one?
The big twist.
Can I say the first small one, because I think it's funny?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
So begin the plot, EJ.
Alright.
All right, to recount the bit that EJ missed.
Yes.
We start with an awkward, very exposition-y, using footage from the previous film, monologue from John Boyega saying, basically, here's what happened in the last film.
Oh, could I use that?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, it works for me. I haven't seen the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So.
You guys haven't seen the first
No.
one?
Ooh, fascinating.
Oh my god, the first one is so much better than this.
Yeah.
Which is a surprise considering it's always on like ITV2
You should
now,
definitely
so,
watch Pacific. What the fuck are you doing here? Why did we just watch that when we could have watched Pacific Rim 1 again? God damn it!
Another night.
Okay,
Indeed. So
the-
yeah.
that's
John
the thing.
Boyega is son of previous film main character, well not main character, mentor figure Stacker Pentecost, played by Idris Elba. He is his sort of ruffian son who's squatting in mansions, hustling to get his hot sauce and his cereal from drug dealers.
I missed that.
You missed him hustling to get
Oh,
hot sauce
come
and
on.
cereal.
He swapped a car for Sriracha, and I was like, I am down. I understand.
And his whole deal is he steals bits from decommissioned Jaegers to make money. We open on him taking around some rough types to a Jaeger abandoned factory to get a power core, and the power core is stolen by someone else. Mild peril ensues, and John Boyega escapes. Which I think is about where you came in, which is when
I
he'd
think
met
so.
Amara.
Yes. So he meets small teenager who is Amara.
I think that's her name.
Yeah,
It is,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
the same as the
Manani?
pipeline.
Amara Manani or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So they are chased by authorities, and it turns out she's built her own small Jaeger.
It's
Wee little Jaeger.
Yeah.
Called Scrapper.
So they get inside and are captured by police. And
Police in the form of a 300-foot tall robot.
so they are captured and then sent to cadet training for being what is it called?
Well, they're Jaegers. Jaeger pilots, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Jaeger
Rangers.
pilots,
Rangers
Rangers.
pilot.
So,
Jaegers, yeah.
Amara becomes a cadet, and John Boyega becomes a teacher, kind of.
Yeah,
That's never really.
He's like a head.
brought
He's
back
like
to.
actually just like, you're a ranger, now you have to train
Yeah,
cadets.
that's really not talked about, and they don't really do much training, but it's fine.
Nope.
They don't have a lot of time for that, so they do that, and they go to this place where they do that, and
The Shatterdome.
they meet handsome white man who is kind of butting heads with John Boyega, but also kind of not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. And then there's also hot woman who we see
Oh yeah, she's.
maybe like 3 times.
You mean that sexy lamp? She's such a sexy lamp.
Wait, lamp?
Have you not heard the phrase "the sexy lamp" before?
No.
It's when you have a female character who you could accomplish exactly the same amount if you just had an attractive lamp.
Oh, it's true.
She's a very sexy lamp.
She's not necessary. I think they probably cut a storyline, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
And then, so it turns out that a company in China have made drones,
Drone Jaegers.
drone Jaegers, which they're trying to implement, and obviously the Rangers are kind of like, well, that makes our jobs obsolete, and also seems kind of dangerous. So the company in China are trying to get those passed and like deployed and stuff, but then a giant Jaeger randomly attacks the important people in charge.
Mako
and-
Mori, one of the lead characters from the previous film.
Yep, she dies in a helicopter crash.
Unfortunate, because I was like, Mako was like one of the best things about the first
Yeah.
Pacific Rim, Sean, which you would know, Sean, if you'd watched the film, Sean and Racy.
Oh,
She
shit.
was sick in this film anyway.
She was
Like
alright.
Being a person.
Yeah.
So she dies, and John Boyega, who is her sister, who's her brother, is like, oh shit, fuck. I guess I'll stick
Emotions.
around.
I guess I want to get revenge, kind of.
Yeah, so they like chase down this big giant robot, and they're like, "Who's driving you?" And it turns out it's a fucking kaiju brain.
That was a pretty good moment. I was
And-
like, oh!
And you're like, "Well, what? We thought it was gonna be this shady Chinese company like screwing things up, but it wasn't."
Yeah.
And also, what's his name? Charlie Day. works
Returning
with us.
characters, yeah,
Yeah.
Newton and Gottlieb from the previous film return to have their powerful sexual chemistry once more.
Yes.
I did love, just as an aside, Charlie Day did say in an interview when asked about all of the speculative fan fiction that had been written about their characters, he was all like, oh yeah, no, I totally try and play it that they're former lovers, and I was just like, yes, more of this.
So he works for the Chinese company, and then other guy works for still the Jaeger guys.
Yeah, the Rangers.
And
yeah.
basically they kind of meet up, and they're like,
I'm working on these cool rockets, dude.
yeah.
He's
and-
like, don't do that. That's fucking dangerous.
Yeah, basically. It's kind of all over the place, and then more fighting and more broken glass, and and then
They have a fight in Siberia.
oh yeah, well that's when they discover.
Yeah,
the
they
kaiju
find the
brain.
kaiju brain
And
in
then after
Siberia.
that, they're like, oh fuck.
And then, okay,
the drones
so-
are, all the drones are all deployed, and they're all over the world, and
Are we only 40 minutes in to
Yeah.
the plot?
We're-
Yeah.
I think so.
Possibly.
There's a
Yeah,
lot going
the
on.
drones then, wouldn't you know it?
Oh yeah. So wait, we have to get to the part where Charlie Day, who is originally goes to his friend. He's like, "Oh, you should come back and meet Alice."
And my immediate reaction was like, they've given him a girlfriend?
Yeah,
I'm so mad.
I was so pissed. And then you follow Charlie Day back to his house, and it turns out it's a kaiju brain in a tank, and he's like romancing a kaiju brain in a tank, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
It was like, that was one of my favorite scenes.
It was
I was just like,
great.
that is completely in character, and I
Yeah.
love it.
So he's like, he's crazy now.
Yep.
So you're kind of just like rolling with that. And then it turns out all the drones are just kaiju brains again. And they all go crazy and attack everything, and everyone's dying, and the Jaegers are like mostly destroyed.
We weren't ready for this.
Oh yeah, so there's a big twist, which I won't
Well, I think
say.
we've kind of pretty much, like, I mean,
Should I just say it?
fuck it, but like, we spoil movies
We
all the
spoil
time.
all
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
No
yeah,
one's
it's
listening to this.
Pacific Rim Uprising. Who
As it
cares?
turns out, Charlie Day is merged with a kaiju brain.
He did this in the previous film. He and Gottlieb did
Yeah.
it together in order to try and understand where the kaiju came from. Turns out the precursors, the name for the race that used kaiju to try and destroy the planet, got all up in his brain pan.
Yeah. So now he's the dude doing all this shit.
He's the evil guy. I must say, I did enjoy Evil Charlie Day.
I did too.
He was clearly having a lot
I
of fun.
really like that twist.
Yes.
And so he's the one controlling everything and causing it all to happen. So like a million breaches open and then they all close again because they managed to like control it. But 3 kaiju escape and are headed for Mount Fuji because their blood is like radioactive or some shit.
Explosively radioactive.
Yeah, so all the cadets have to band together and get into these 4 final Jaegers and take on the kaiju, and then at the end they just like defeat them and you're like, yeah cool.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so who would like to lead off the discussion? Sean, as someone who's never seen a Pacific Rim movie, what did you make of this?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
like, obviously you're saying like the first film is better and that's, and I'm guessing more insane.
I'm gonna go into it.
Arguably.
I'm gonna go into quite a lot of detail about the key differences. So we'll keep.
Mhm.
I want to get like the people who don't have the Pacific Rim knowledge to give their thoughts first.
It's just ridiculous, and I kind of like it for that.
Yeah.
It's just, it is just one of those perfect examples of I'm going to switch my brain off here and just enjoy giant monsters fighting giant robots, and it's just like, oh boy, do you get like everything you're promised.
They really upped the ante in terms of just like, let's spectacle. Can we spectacle harder than the first one? I think we spectacled harder.
When was the first one released?
I was still working here, so sometime.
I was living in Dover. That was what 2013.
Yeah, about 2013,
Yeah.
I think.
Alright, Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's been a good 5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Films.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro, producer on this, but apparently not very involved, which I think you can kind of feel
Yeah,
in
you
some
can
ways.
feel that.
Racy, what did you make of it?
I liked it.
You liked it?
They were robots.
Did you stay awake the whole time?
I did.
You waited through the whole
Wow.
film without sleeping?
Yeah.
Was that a first for Hurd Ya Saw?
No,
Maybe?
I think there were other films that I watched entirety of, but don't ask me to name them.
There was significantly less Australian people in this film than the first one.
Oh, no, the guy that I laughed out loud is an actual news reporter in Australia.
Oh, yeah, being
for morning, like, news.
Being like, holy crap, guys, there's some Jaegers coming to like swear in some new people.
And that's why I
There's a really great character in the first film called Hercules, who is literally the most Australian man. He's wonderful.
I don't remember him.
He's like the dad guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's all, you're a ranger, for Christ's sake! It's like, oh, so Australian!
Oh, now I have to watch it.
So, the thing is, this is not as good as Pacific Rim 1. It also is a very different feeling film to Pacific
Yeah.
Rim 1. The key thing about Pacific Rim, the first one, which this film doesn't have, is Pacific Rim is immediately set up as like, hey, this is the world. There are giant monsters coming, we have giant robots to fight them. Off you go. And like literally the first scene is a giant robot going out to fight a giant monster, which is your setup. And there's a tremendous sense of desperation about it, because they go to the Shatter Dome in the first film and they're all like, normally this place would hold 20 Jaegers and we've got 4. And it's like humanity is really on the ropes, like everything's a bit melted, everything's seen battle, there's like history there everywhere. And it's great because it gives you this tremendous sense of like, oh crap, we really are like on the edge of like humanity being destroyed. This movie does not feel like that. This movie takes a long time to get going, I think. Like the whole... Alright, here's a question to the group. Who was the main character in this film?
John Boyega.
Was he?
Well,
It really felt like it was kind of more Amara's story?
that's what I wanted it to more focus on, and I wish that they'd shared it a little bit better. Because I think, one, they worked really well together,
Yeah.
better than a random white guy.
Yes.
Could have used 0 of him.
I felt
Unnecessary.
I felt a bit sad for Nate guy because he didn't really have much to do apart from like, I have vague conflict with you, John Boyega.
Yeah.
And John Boyega's like, I'm just more charming and likable than you. And he's like, I did quite like that bit when John Boyega's like, he is very sexy though.
Yeah.
And I was just all like, a little bit of the Pacific Rim LGBT faction.
Was that blonde girl, was anyone else getting super gay vibes off her?
Which blonde girl? Oh, the Victoria.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, but she didn't really have much of a personality beyond, I'm angry.
Yeah, but like, I was like, oh, why aren't they like making her and Amara friends?
Yeah,
like,
that would have made
that
a
would
really
have been a good
that would have
thing.
really
like,
made sense.
I was really hoping that they would be good like mind handshakey partner.
Drift compatible, yeah.
I don't
I
use your
totally
language.
wanted that.
Yeah, because
That would have been a
Yeah.
sensible. It felt like they kind
Yeah.
of set that up and then just never really delivered on that.
Yeah,
because
like,
they were in the same robot.
Yeah.
But they were in two different parts. Like
She was
the
just like-
Russian girl was in the stomach, and
Yeah,
the
she's
other
like,
girl
I'm
was
firing
not
the
in
guns, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's like, I'm helping.
yeah, I felt like they set her up really specifically, and then like nothing happened.
this was the thing. I think this movie really kind of wanted to focus on a lot of things.
Yeah.
It was
It
quite
couldn't pick which
ambitious.
one.
Yeah, it couldn't commit because they had. Here's just a rough thing of all of the relationships that it tries to cover. John Boyega's relationship with his sister, which I felt was dramatically underserved, and I wish they'd done more with that
Yeah,
because I really
definitely.
like Mako as a character, and that would have been cool. John's relationship with Amara, which they kind of had, that was the most explored. It was kind of
Yeah.
like a sort of, you know, mentor teacher kind of thing. John Boyega's relationship with Nate, which was there,
Kind of.
whatever you want to make of that.
homosexual.
Yeah, possibly. We can but hope. Amara's relationship with Victoria, the Gottlieb and Newt and their relationship was kind of more explored a little bit. You also had, what was it, the Chinese lady kind of like came in really dramatically at the end with the save.
Yeah.
And I felt like, why are you doing this? This doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. It was like, what, this character, I mean, sure,
Yeah.
fine, but also she didn't ever really had like a conflict with Amara where she'd been like, oh, your tiny Jaeger's no good. And then she's like, I'll use the tiny Jaeger to save the day.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, if those characters had met
Yeah.
or interacted
Yeah.
in any capacity, that would have made more
Yeah.
sense. You know, and also John Boyega's relationship to his dad and living in his dad's shadow, not properly explored. The ridiculous, shall we have a love triangle? No.
Oh, there was
It
no
almost felt
romantic
like
subplot.
It was written by 3 people.
Yeah, and they all wanted to do very different
Yeah.
things, I
Yeah.
feel. But somehow, on the whole, I think it came out okay.
Yeah, it was not terrible.
Yeah, it was fun. Like some of the editing was a bit weird.
Yeah, I was lost a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could not pick up on the fights.
Oh no, I would say editing wise it's more coherent than say like a Transformers film.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like, I could easily tell what the hell was what.
Well, the fights weren't the problem for me. There was just like some bits with, you know, literally just characters talking to each other where they go to a lot of odd angles, and I was just kind of like, well, okay, but this just seems odd.
Yeah.
I felt like they were reshoots,
Possibly.
and they were like, because you could really tell when they were green screening everything. I mean, they
Oh, yeah.
obviously were like most of the time, but when they were like severely green screen, nothing but close-ups in a very obvious way.
Yeah.
Mm.
It just seemed like this definitely feels like it was made by committee. I
Yes.
think the thing is.
Mm.
But I think overall we can say it's like it was a fun kind of. How long was that? Because it didn't
It
feel
wasn't that long. It
Hour
felt-
and a half, hour 40?
hour
Oh,
40? That's
I
not
can
too bad.
No.
Oh yeah, we can actually check. In our undisclosed location.
Oh.
But would have it done better in a different medium if it wasn't a feature film? Would it fared better as like,
Like a TV series?
yeah?
I'd watch a TV series of this.
I would, because it definitely has that sort of like
And then you could
Big
explore all
big
of it.
ensemble cast,
big
yeah.
ensemble cast, like also like anime sort of like backgrounds and all
Yep,
that.
yep.
You know, you could very easily build up a nice bigger sort of universe.
I
for
would
it,
actually
you know?
really happily watch a Pacific Rim TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I
It's
think-
only an hour 50.
Only an hour
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's not. It doesn't feel too long.
No, it
No.
never dragged much once it actually got going, but like the opening is a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys, just as a question, with the opening exposition stuff and the way that people kept reiterating plot points,
Mm.
that for me was a bit
yeah.
annoying because I
Yeah.
already knew all the
Yeah.
plot points.
When Charlie Day walks into the fucking lab and it's just like, oh, because we
Save the world
let's
together.
reiterate everything we've ever done.
Yeah, and I
I
was
was-
just like,
it's
really?
I think I was counting the amount of times something was said before I got to like 7 and then I stopped counting. But I can't remember what it was. And I was like, number 6, number 7.
But yeah, did you guys, as people who haven't seen the film, did you appreciate that, or did it feel a bit clunky to you?
It helped a little for me. I knew some stuff from the first film just because internet and
Cultural
everything.
osmosis.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff and that. So you know, not everything in that. So like bits with like Charlie Day and the other characters in the first film going into like Kaiju Mine and that. Didn't know anything about that. You know,
Mhm.
and, you know, it was helpful to have that to go in for the rest of the film because you know plot twists and all that.
Yep.
But you know, fine. You know, I can definitely tell when it's just like very heavy expositional.
Yes.
So
Remember that thing that we were both present for?
Yeah.
Boy, that was a good time.
I found that even like when they were in the drift together, I was annoyed that they kept shouting out directions to each other because it was like you were supposed to be linked.
To be fair, they did that in the first one as well.
That was something I disliked in the first one.
I
but
also
it felt like it was worse here.
It was more pronounced, certainly.
some of the two of you might be able to answer. Why is it they have to be neurologically linked?
So,
Was it
well,
too hard
I'll give you
for one brain?
two reasons. One, the robots are powered by friendship. or more seriously, in the opening to Pacific Rim 1.
My little robot.
No, my giant robots. In the first film, they established that while a single human can get a Jaeger to move, the amount of strain it puts on their brain, like, fucking kills them or drives them insane or makes them bleed out their eyes. So they would realize that they had to do there were people who were what's called drift compatible, who could essentially link their minds together and thereby share what's called the neural load. Charlie Hunnam in the first film was notable because he was the only pilot to ever manage to pilot a Jaeger by himself, because his brother got torn out by a kaiju while he was piloting it in the opening, and then he manages to get it back to land, and everyone's like, wow, he's badass. Speaking of Charlie Hunnam, whom I really like in the first film, as a white bread, just sort of like, I'm Joe McEvery hero, I think he's a really good version of that.
He's fine.
He's a good ally. He's trying his best.
He's fine.
Hey.
He's okay.
I like him.
He's not terrible.
He's not. He stands up for Marco at every opportunity, and he never puts his own glory first. I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
He's just about, like, I want to do the best job with the right people. I'm surprised he didn't come back for this movie.
I was also surprised, and I could not figure out if it was the same dude that John Boyega was talking to, because they just both look the same.
I feel like at some point someone may have written that character for Charlie Hunnam,
Yeah.
and then he wouldn't come back and do it, so like, crap, just invent Nate.
It's exactly the same.
What? He's got brown spiky hair, Charlie Hunnam's got floppy blonde hair. There's
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can tell them apart.
Alright.
Yeah. All these white men look the same to you.
Apparently. I really thought they were the same person for a while.
Any other key thoughts before we move into final thoughts?
I was very pleased about the lack of romance.
Yes.
Yes.
Apart from the half-hearted, shall we do a love nah?
Yeah, and like they only objectified one woman. Hello. Oh, sick.
Oh crap. Okay, quick. EJ,
Yes.
do we need to move out?
Not really.
Okay, cool. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Wait, actually, do you have any thoughts about Pacific Rim Uprising?
I would if I'd seen it.
Damn it!
Have you seen Pacific Rim 1?
Yeah, and I loved it.
Ah.
All right.
Hey.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you for guest starring on the show.
You're welcome.
Final thoughts, EJ.
When I first saw Pacific Rim the first time, I really fucking hated it, and then I watched it with you, and I was like, this is great!
Yes!
In one of our angry film watches.
Yes!
And this
I'm
would,
happy I could be evangelical for that movie.
this would totally qualify for another angry watch, because it completely...
You don't need to
satisfies
invest
it.
too much,
Yeah.
and lots of stuff gets destroyed.
Yeah, I liked it almost more in some ways, but in
Yeah.
other ways, I was very frustrated by it.
They did a big sequel bait at the end, right?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way it's not getting a sequel.
Based on this, would you guys go see that sequel?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based
I'd
on-
have to
Sounds
see a
like it'll
trailer.
have John Boyega in it.
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll watch John Boyega on pretty much anything.
He is very engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when he's playing kind of a douchebag.
Yeah.
Only if they get to call it Pacific Rim Intergalactic Sushi.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Do you think they released this film specifically around Easter on purpose?
In what sense?
It's called Uprising.
Oh, what? Like a Jesus thing? We're reviving the franchise and the Lord.
I will say the subtitle doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, it would like Pacific Rim, like Betrayal or something, or Pacific Rim. Oh no, we accidentally more monsters.
Maybe they're
Intergalactic
uprising
sushi.
within Earth. Like, like Charlie Day is like the uprising of the kaiju.
But I mean, it's an odd. I agree. It's not the. I don't think it's the best
I
choice.
don't know, it's rough.
I mean, the next one's probably going to be Pacific Rim Invasion, right? That would
You'd
be
think,
That
yeah.
probably would be.
that would be the one I'd go for.
Or they
Ray,
just call it Rim. They just like condense it even more. It's
Rim
like
3.
Rim 3.
Minty fresh. Racy, final thoughts.
Ooh. Like Star Wars,
Like Star Wars.
but instead of spaceships, they have robots. No, it's nothing like Star
Yeah, I was going to say,
Wars.
this is the kind of quality content that people listen to this podcast expecting.
Don't know that many movies.
We literally just watched one. Sean.
It's, like I said, it's just as ridiculous as I really wanted it to be. That I do definitely now want to go watch the first one.
Oh, watch it with me.
Yes.
Watch it
I wanna
with me.
watch
I'll always,
the first one.
I am definitely up for that, yeah.
dude, I was on the plane to Sri Lanka, and I was going through the films they had on the plane, and was just like, oh, like, here's a bunch of films that I haven't seen that I feel like I should watch. And then I saw, oh, they've got Pacific Rim. And I turned to my mum, I said, now, I've seen Pacific Rim like 6 times. Am I going to watch Pacific Rim again right now? Yes. And I watched it again, and it was fucking awesome. I love that movie so much. It does so much right. It's just... This movie didn't quite get me to levels, but it was still a riotous good time. Big robots punch things.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be a TV show.
Yeah, I think
watched that.
I would happily watch, like, HBO.
Mm.
I know you listen. We're tight. We're
Or
tight.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix will greenlight anything.
Yeah, but I
if
worry.
you send an email to Netflix and you're like, I have an idea for a show, they'll be like, green light, it's fine.
No,
They
legitimately.
commissioned 700 shows.
Oh
They
my
have
God.
so much money.
They need to. Yeah, but like they don't give things enough budget. It needs to be HBO. Give it that
Alright.
Game of Thrones money,
Alright.
so you can have like a ridiculous like fucking giant robot battle in like every episode.
Yeah.
And
need
then
that.
make it a really compelling human drama about a group of unlikely misfits from different backgrounds coming together to power robots through the power of friendship.
And some of them are gay.
And loads of them are gay.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be
At
because.
least half.
But like this, also another thing, just real quick. I like that this continues with the tradition of Pacific Rim 1, which has become a tradition of like modern sci-fi blockbuster movies. Good ethnic diversity,
Yes.
lots of people of color,
Oh.
lots of people of color being able to do
Is it-
things.
Is it going into the Chinese market? Because I got that feeling.
It may be, but
But I
like
don't know how
the
it's
first
like
one was also very much set in China because
Yeah.
like Pacific Rim area is where it's set.
Yeah.
So
Because I was like, oh, I feel like this is trying to get into the Chinese market, but they're also like the conflict is in Tokyo. I don't know.
Oh, it's just all over Asia.
East Asia,
Yeah.
we want it.
Yeah.
We want to get in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, they didn't have a big fist fight with a giant monster in Tokyo in the last
This
movie.
fight, Pacific Rim.
And that's pretty much like what you need to do in Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the giant monsters
Oh
go
yeah, the
there.
monsters walking through Tokyo was fucking hilarious.
I also like the idea of, it's the thing, what if they're not attacking the cities, they're just sort of in the way?
Just sort of like,
And it's
fucking
just-
god
yeah, just
damn
like,
it!
oh god, all these buildings in the way, I'm trying to get here.
Oh, look at all these ants! Step on all the ants!
Excellent. I think I've said all I want to say.
Satisfying.
Not as. Oh, Morton says, "Where are we?" Do we keep recording until Morton finds us?
Morton,
All right.
come find us. We've left
Morton's
the
unlikely to find
breadcrumbs.
Morton's unlikely to find. Morton, we love you, and we're angry that you decided to do the quiz rather than
And get paid.
Yeah, and get paid money rather
Yeah.
than come and watch a
Morton
film with
doesn't
us.
get paid for the quiz.
Does he not?
No.
Ah, you wasted your time. Anyway, well, we'll end it there. We'll be back soon with it. Hold
Ready
on to
Player
your-
One.
Ready Player One.
Yeah!
Yay! It looks terrible.
I'm so excited!
It's going to be such a grim cast.